customer calls in, you pick up the phone, and all of a sudden you're met with someone who is already frustrated, angry. Sometimes they're crying, sometimes they're yelling, sometimes they're accusatory. I have heard it time and time again. The caller is just frustrated. So all of a sudden, your heart rate goes up, you're bracing yourself. You know what this is, because if you are in a call center environment, this isn't the first time that this has happened. And so, what I want to talk about today is how to handle angry customers without you sounding scared, or really how to handle escalated situations in a manner that gets you to what your ultimate goal is, which is providing service. My name is Ree. I have been in management of call centers in senior management for over 10 years and in customer service for 25 years. And I decided to start this channel to really share tips and tricks on how to provide better customer service, a better customer experience, but also how to be a leader, whether that is someone who has people management responsibilities or how to lead up. So that's what this channel is about. It's really about the customer experience and all things that go along with that. And today we're talking about rules for handling escalated calls. The first rule that I'm going to talk about is your first job is not the solution. Your first job is really managing the emotion. And I've heard this so many times where people try to come at it by just providing a solution or going right into their script or authenticating the caller right up front. And sometimes it's that really isn't and shouldn't be your first step. When addressing a call, it's really important that you understand the objective. While the objective is always to provide service and to solution, that's not where you start. Because if they're at a 10 already, nobody's hearing anything you have to say when they're at a 10. How many times have you called in someplace very upset and the rep on the other line starts going into, "Can I have your name? Tell me what you're calling about," or whatever it says in your script. What's your address? What's your zip code? Whatever that script is for authentication, people go right into it. And I know that as a call center rep, it is important that you authenticate the caller. I think nowadays with all of the fraud and identity theft, it's so important that authentication is part of it, but you also have to time it correctly. You first have to de-escalate that person's emotional state. You got to bring them down from that 10 before you can even start getting into why they're calling and what they're calling about. First, address the fact that you have somebody who is upset, acknowledging the fact that they're frustrated. And I don't mean acknowledge it with a whole bunch of scripted phrases. I mean sitting with it, acknowledging the frustration, understanding the frustration, and committing to the caller that, okay, yes, that is frustrating. Yes, I understand that experience would cause a lot of frustration. I'm so sorry that you are feeling that way. And I am here to help. I want to shift that experience. I want to enhance that experience because everything that they have been, encountering is just a series of unfortunate events that have led them there. And sometimes they're frustrated because they're just having a really bad day. We don't really know what happens. Life happens on life's terms. So we really don't know. Could have had spilt coffee all over their shirt 5 minutes before they called you. And that was just the icing on top of the cake. And now they're coming to you because they're just pissed off. So being with that emotion and making that commitment is really your first step. A second rule is never match their energy. And I know this is really, really hard. I have encountered several situations where a caller has called in, and when people are mad, they can get nasty. They can use profanity. They can call you names. The fact of the matter is people get really nasty sometimes. While I don't condone that, matching that energy, getting nasty back or getting frustrated back isn't going to help. It's not going to de-escalate that situation. It's only going to add to the frustration and potentially really impact you more than impacting them. You have a whole day full of work. You have more calls coming in. So ensuring that you don't get yourself frustrated where now you're bringing that energy into your next call is going to be really important. So never match the energy. Keep it compartmentalized. It's separate. It's not personal. And while they may try to take it to a personal state, it's not personal. It's not you. And try to keep that separation. My next rule is to slow down on purpose. Time, I know a lot of call centers are focused on the amount of time that it takes to provide service to the caller, but it's not going to be helpful if you spend 3 minutes on a call and they end up calling back several times because they're upset or they didn't feel like they got out what they needed to get out, or they're still not satisfied. I mean, either way you look at it, that could come back and impact your quality scores if you have some dissatisfied customer that either responds to one of your surveys that you didn't help them, or they call back and escalate to a manager and say you didn't help them. Sometimes taking the time is actually the best way to do it because you're, again, addressing that emotion, you're de-escalating the situation, you're giving space for that individual to calmly come from a 10 down to maybe a 5, maybe a 4. I mean, not all callers will come down to that level 1. So, calming, pausing, it's a very powerful tool. Doesn't have to be for minutes, just a few seconds, sometimes 10, 20, even 30-second pause can recenter, refocus, give air to the conversation, give air to the customer that's on the other end of the phone call. It just will set the stage for a more calm, collected conversation and direction. Rule number 4 is let them finish before you respond. And I will be honest, I am really bad at interjecting myself because I'm one of those people that when I am talking or when I'm communicating with somebody else, whether it's over the phone or in person or in a meeting, if I think I understand where you're coming from, my way to relate is by interjecting and finishing your sentence. Do not do that when you are on a call. Let the caller finish. Sometimes they will give you a whole bunch of information that's not relevant or even helpful to diagnose the problem that they're experiencing, but it really doesn't matter. This is their time to tell their story. In their mind, they're going through the slew of things that added up that brought them to that call with you. So give them space to share whatever that is and listen. You can worry about managing the call or getting the call back on track once they feel like they have shared the details that they need to share. So give them the space to do that. Rule number 5 is never tell a customer to calm down. And I think everybody knows this. The last thing that you want to say to someone when they're at a 10 or when they're at a 9, 8, 7, whatever number that is to calm down. Because what is the first thing that's going to happen? They're going to do the exact opposite. And that's the same for you. And you're really upset and somebody tells you, just calm down, or can you calm down, or I'm trying to help you, but you need to calm down. All of those phrases just add fuel to a fire that's already in burn. So, really try not to respond by saying, calm down. That phrase escalates that caller up to the next level all of the time. It never actually calms anyone down. So it's really a throwaway phrase that you can just throw away now. Rule number 6, use language that shows you heard the feeling, not just the problem. So oftentimes I will hear phrases that start with, I hear you, or I can understand why, but that really isn't enough. That feels scripted. That doesn't feel authentic. Authenticity is pivotal to building trust with someone that's on the other line. Nowadays with chatbots and automated phone systems, some people don't like to speak with people. Some people avoid it and prefer that method. And I think that is great. And sometimes I don't feel like talking to anyone either. But the people that are picking up the phone really want to speak to a human. The people that are calling in the call center do not want to be, led to someone with a book of scripting and feel as though they're not authentic. That doesn't help de-escalate someone who's already upset anyway. So authenticity is key and addressing the emotion. So while those are great starts for the beginning of the phrase that you're using, I'm so sorry for your frustration. That's a great start. That isn't being empathetic. The empathy comes with following that statement, making it your own, and adding context to it. So I'm so sorry for your frustration. I can completely understand that experience that you just described is one that has led you to call here today. My intention is to stay with you on this call so that we can address all of those concerns and get you to fill in the blank, right? That might be filling a prescription. That might be fixing their cable, whatever market you're in, fill in blank. But what I did is I used the appropriate phrase in the beginning. I added context to it to show that I authentically am there listening to you. I heard what you said. I acknowledge the frustration that you're feeling. I acknowledge that everything that you said is a frustrating situation. And now I'm making a commitment to you that I am going to be your partner to help you through or guide you through the situation that you're trying to manage. Rule number 7 is recognize what fear sounds like in your voice. Sometimes I've heard agents who get really uncomfortable in confrontational situations, and they can sound scared, not confident. They can feel intimidated by the caller. So their pitch of their voice gets higher. Their pace in the conversation gets faster. They get nervous. They over-explain, under-explain. They over-apologize. You really need to learn your tells in what is your tone or your approach. Is it giving, or maybe you're interjecting some fear or lack of confidence to the caller. As soon as somebody sniffs that out, you've lost them. They're not going to trust you any longer. They're already feeling that themselves. So if they're speaking to someone that is also feeling that way, then they're not going to put any trust in you, and that conversation is dead in the water. Rule number 8 is use one focus question to redirect the call. So once you've acknowledged the emotion, ask one grounded question that helps you move the conversation forward. So an example of that might be, can you help me understand what happened so I can look into this, right? So if you have a caller that has called in and they're really upset, and you have now addressed the emotion, you have made a commitment that you're going to be with them and provide service and help. Now you can start pivoting the conversation to the solutioning part of the conversation, which means you can start interjecting those transitional phrases, right? That transitional phrase of, okay, help me understand. I heard that you said this. Tell me a little bit more about that, right? I heard that you received a communication in the mail. Can you tell me a little bit more about what that communication said? Do you have that communication? Whatever that might be. Or if it's not related to a communication and it's something that they are seeing on their screen, okay, so I understand that you just went onto our website and what I heard you say was this. And can you tell me a little bit more? Did you try to clear your cache? What have you done? What steps have you taken? Whatever that is that you need to transition to, or that you can interject to help transition you into really understanding more details and context around the issue that they're experiencing so that you can go into solution mode. Rule number 9 is do not let silence feel like abandonment. When you're working, narrate what you're doing. You don't want somebody who was really upset, who just started to say, oh, let's partner on this, let's work on this, and then go silent. And I understand that there's a lot of things that are happening on your end of the call to try to either diagnose the situation, look at previous call notes, look at your knowledge base articles or whatever tool that you're using that might give you the answer to help provide service. But it's okay to also narrate what you're doing. So I'm pulling up your account right now is one that you can say. You don't have to go into, I'm putting in the digits, I am selecting enter. Don't go to the extreme, but narrating, okay, great. Thank you for that information. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and pull up your account details. It may just take a moment, something like that to help let the caller know that no, I'm working on my end to try to provide help. Rule number 10 is speak with ownership, not uncertainty. So things to say is, here's what I'm going to do. Don't say things like, let me see what the system says. Let me see what the system says means you don't know what you're talking about and you're just going to read something off of a script or off of your screen. And if you're not the authority on this issue, then I don't trust you any longer. Uncertainty, or if the caller feels that you don't really know the process or you don't know the actual issue, that's the fastest way to really negate all the hard work that you may have done in addressing the emotional state of that caller. It just is a completely useless phrase because it just wipes out everything that you just created in that call. Rule number 11 is calm scores higher than over talking. Over sharing information is just to show that you know something. That's not helpful. That's just words. It's too much. It's too much for somebody who is in a calm state to properly digest because they don't know your process, nor do they really care. They want what they want. They expect a certain experience. And if they're not getting that experience, they're going to let you know they're not happy about that. Being calm, being collected, sharing the information that you need to share. That's what's going to win the trust. That's what's going to de-escalate that caller. Really, the highest performing reps on escalation calls are usually not the ones who say the most. They are usually the ones that stay the calmest. It's about steadiness. It's about consistency. That's what's going to help you at being the best call center representative you can be. Rule number 12, confidence is steadiness, not volume. We think that if we elevate our voice and we're louder and we speak louder, that is really showing that we are confident individuals. What really shows confidence is steadiness, consistency. It's not sounding bigger. It's really sounding grounded. That's what the caller is looking for. My last rule that I'd like to share is reset before the next call. These calls are draining for not only the person that is really upset calling in, but they're really draining for you all that are taking these calls. It's hard because that caller gets to leave the call, hopefully with a resolution, and sometimes, unfortunately, without a resolution, and they're going about their day. You have to go to another call. right after. Sometimes you only have a matter of a minute to wrap up before you're on to the next call. And you don't want to take that energy from that call into your next call, because now you're going to have a domino effect of a lot of calls that are just frustrating for you. So don't carry the customer's anger into the next conversation. Try to find ways in which within your allotted time that you can intentionally reset yourself. So maybe it's, if you're really proficient at getting all of your call notes done when you're hanging up that call, is taking those 30 seconds of wrap up time to really just take a deep breath, recenter yourself, reestablish the purpose of what your goal is for the day, and remind yourself that it is not personal. What they're bringing to that call has nothing to do with you, even though it may feel like that, even though some of the language that could be used can be really hurtful. It's not about you. Don't let that leftover smoke from the last fire start a flame in your next call. In closing, customers do not need you to be fearless. They need you to be steady. That's the skill you can build starting today. Again, my name is Ree. I have been in the customer experience realm for quite a many years, both at a agent level and all the way up to senior leadership. And I am here to give some tips and tricks on anything and everything from managing better calls to data analytics to leadership. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I hope you subscribe and like and join me for the next episode. Thank you.